Everybody here that's going to be here? Susan, you're on the phone, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, Susan. All right. So, oh, it's not for you. All right.
Last time we were outside, we got pie.
There's brownies. The brownies are warm too.
Have to get one.
And she's a very good
until you
cook.
get home.
Yes, a good baker. Probably a good cook. Yeah.
No, yeah, the chocolate is still like really in the brownies.
Okay, ready?
Excellent.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so it's 4 o'clock, and I'm going to call this meeting to order. Susan Odgers is on the phone, and Paul Yale is on vacation, and everybody else is here. So, let's do the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next I would entertain a motion for approval of the agenda.
I'll make the motion to approve the agenda.
Okay, thank you, Susan. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, all those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, first on the list is public comments. So is there anybody from the public wants to say anything?
Just welcome to Fife.
Okay, just going to say the very same thing. We'd just like to welcome you to our little library here. We're so happy that you
Lovely.
came.
Lovely. And your report, by the way, was excellent. Okay, next on the agenda is the consent agenda. Does anyone wish to take anything off the agenda at this time? Of the consent agenda, I mean.
Do you want to take the Fife Lake annual report off if you
Okay.
wanted to say anything about it?
I just was gonna point it out, so.
It's in the packet. I thought it was excellent.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to take that one off. Any other changes? I'll entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda as adjusted.
I'll make that motion.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, so first on the agenda is Fife Lake and your annual report. Oh, yeah. And then just say who you are for the audience.
I'm Cheyenne Wilcox. I'm the director here at the Fife Lake Public Library. I don't have much to share today. The annual report was in your packet, so I hope you take a chance to look over that and see the things that we've been doing the year that I've been here. So I'm coming up on 1 year on July 1st, so it's been a lot of learning and listening and just kind of seeing where we're going in the community. So thank you for hosting today, or letting us host today. And just thank you for the resources that you provide as well. Michelle has been a wonderful resource to me as a new director. Scott and the tech team have been wonderful as well. So thank you.
Okay, well, wait. People may have some questions for you. Does anybody have any questions for the librarian director?
Mary Lee,
Yes, Susan? You have a question?
I'm wondering for Cheyenne, a while back we had heard about an expansion. Can you update or say anything about that or where that's at?
I don't know, Debbie McCool, do you want to come up? Debbie is our capital campaigns head of expansion, so I don't know if that would be helpful to have her report on some of the fundraising.
Answer any questions
Going on?
if you want.
Yeah.
I'd be glad to answer any questions. Fundraising is continuing. In December, we hired a grant writer, which was something that we needed. We had applied for grants before, had some people that were volunteering their time for us, but we've hired a grant writer now. And she has applied for many. We have many in process right now. We have 2 that I'm very excited about. They're going to do site visits next month. So that's very encouraging. But so that's where we are. We have about $350,000 raised so far. So we have a ways to go.
What's your goal?
1.2 million. So, and we know that it will cost more than 1.2 million when we're completed, but that we have about 350,000 so far. So,
Susan, you have a question?
Thank you.
Oh, Sam, you have a
When
question
she's
too?
done. That's-
Okay, first Susan, then Sam.
Yeah, I'm all set, Mary Lee, thank you.
Oh, okay, Sam?
Yeah, I was just curious, since the grant writer's on board now, are there any particular grants that you're looking at, or have you found that environment has dried up considerably here in the recent months?
It hasn't dried up, no, that's the one thing that's good. We have 6 that are pending right now, we just don't have word on it, but she wrote earlier this spring. The 2 that are promising now, and I don't want to jinx it, Grand Traverse Band and Impact 100 out of
Okay.
Traverse City. So those are 2 that are very promising, we've had a lot of conversations with them. That's the one of the big advantages with hiring a grant writer is she has worked in Traverse City, she has many contacts, so she is talking to people ahead of submitting the applications now, and that's making a big difference for us. But those are 2 in particular we've already received. Schmuckel Foundation, Olson Foundation, Beardman, some of those. I'm sorry I didn't bring any papers, I should have brought papers so you could see, but I'll be glad to send those to Michelle to share. So, but those are some of the current ones that we have.
Fantastic. Great, thank you.
I don't have a fundraising or expansion question, just a general question about your report. First of all, it's great report. And I was really pleased to see it use the More Than Books theme that's come from MLA and around. I was wondering, is that way of thinking about the challenges or ideas you have going forward, is that changing the conversation at all? Thinking in explicit terms about libraries more than its contents?
Yeah, I think so. I think a lot of the times we get people that come in and say, oh, I didn't know you guys were here, or what are people using the library for? And so, you know, Tuesdays and Thursdays we have our senior fitness in here and people hear that and they're like, what's going on over there? And so it really is more than just books. I mean, all the e-resources that we get in the district, as well as, I mean, we have DVDs, there's kits for children to check out. So yeah, just a lot more than books. And we're trying to also weave that into the expansion piece, that we want to be able to provide more computer space, a maker space, library of things, so.
The heartbeat, actually, it's not just books, it's a heartbeat in the community.
Exactly.
It's really important.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda is the director's report. Michelle?
Yeah, I just wanted to highlight a few things in my report because there was a lot of stuff in there. Just that overall, within the district, we've already checked out almost 600,000 items. So still print is like almost 3 to 1 to electronic, but we're well over what we were last year at this time. So I think that is interesting, and it's like it shows that our community loves us and is checking things out. Even though people think nobody reads books, they obviously do. And then under 3D printing, you'll see that we printed out 13 assistive devices and 4 fidget devices, and I attached an email to my report. So as a part of our autism training, we offer to any of the other autism certified centers in Traverse City, if they wanted some fidget items to have just at a desk or in a room, we would print them for them from our 3D printer for free. So we've printed 17 of those so far. We're also adding them to our Talking Book Library outreach because there's really easy assistive devices that you can 3D print, like if a door handle is a knob and you really need more of a handle to it. There's something you can print that just goes over the top and it turns it into a handle, so it's easier to open. So we're printing those things, we're putting them on the bookmobile and allowing patrons to have like 1 a month. And so Anita's taking them on all her outreaches and they've been really popular, so that's been kind of cool. On the negative side, under the behavior issues, we did have 17 incidents in May as opposed to last year where it was 1. And this is just because people are sticking around the area. When Safe Harbor would close, they would leave. And now Safe Harbor's open, so I think you've read in the newspaper maybe too, like Boardman Lake Trail is just, having more trouble. And it's just people coming to the library who don't know our rules. So we're really thankful that we have the guards that are there, but I also think like these numbers aren't crazy compared to winter. Our winter months, one winter month we had 40 incidents, and I think it's just part of what's happening in our community. So I just thought I would address that, and if you have any questions, happy to take them. And then under the state budget, the being on MLA and a lot of libraries are really pushing forward because right now the House budget has zero in federal dollars allotted to libraries, but the Library of Michigan has been told that they are getting the money that would keep MELCAT and the MEL databases, because that money is awarded on a 2-year cycle. And so that was committed 2 years ago, and it should continue. And they have the letter, I actually have a copy of the letter. And so, but it was still not put into the House budget, and so we're just contacting our legislators saying the money will be coming to the state unless they appropriate it, we can't use it. So if you talk to any of our elected officials, let them know that the money is coming from the federal government, but if it's not in the budget, we can't spend it. So, let's see what else. And then under Heather's suggestion, I created a chart of all the legislation and court cases that we're just following. There's several at the Supreme Court that we're waiting on decisions for that will affect library funding, the executive orders, and then E-rate funding for E-rate hotspots, E-rate funding, and then the state budget. So that's in a spreadsheet. I think it's easier to read in a spreadsheet, and that's in your packet. And then I put the autism stuff, and then the Traverse Area District Libraries was listed in autismtravel.com. That's in the last thing in your packet, because we all got certified. So people looking up about, who autistic loved ones knows that all of our libraries are certified. So that was good. And then finally, in your folders is a little packet about Summer Reading Club that Heather put together, and I added to a little bit. It's just about literacy too. I wrote a forum piece that's in your packet talking about how important Summer Reading Club is to literacy. And then yesterday's Record Eagle, there's an article that stated that Michigan has fallen to 44th out of 50 states for literacy. And so we all just have to do as much as we can. So that's in your packet, some statistics, the forum article, and then our data for registration is kind of hard to read, but basically we have already 3,000 people registered just between TADL, the 3 TADL locations, and I don't know how many you have registered yet.
We're not keeping track, we're doing paper trackers this year,
Oh, you're okay.
At the end.
Yeah, at the end. So with our digital tracking, we have over 3,000 people registered, and the great part is that we're getting more kids from some of those outlying areas that didn't really vote to approve our millage, like their area voted no. But we've been doing a lot of outreach, and so we're seeing those kids signing up. So I think one of the districts in Ground, I think was it Ground, do you remember? Last year we only had 1 kid from that area, and this year we have 16 signed up for Summer Reading Club. So it's working, and we just keep doing all the good work that we're doing. So it's nice to see it paying off and more kids registering. So that's my whole report.
Great. Any questions for Michelle?
Mary.
Yes.
I have
Less
few
of a
questions,
question.
Mary Lee.
Okay, first Jennifer, and then Susan.
Yeah, just more of a statement. There's so much in here that you're doing, and so just big appreciation. The spreadsheet I think is really helpful. So it's a great idea, and I appreciated Mary Lee's letter to lawmakers that sort of went around the last time, and as you're suggesting that we contact state lawmakers around, making sure that the budget dollars are allocated. If you have any form that you want to offer for us or for members of the public as well, to sort of get bullet points for that would be really helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're referencing my letter to Jack Bergman?
Yes.
Yeah.
Jack.
Yes, Congressman Bergman. He says he likes libraries. Correct?
He did, yeah, we had a lovely meeting with him. Yeah.
Oh, Susan.
Thanks, Mary Lee. Michelle, I had echoed Jennifer's really nice report, and that grid was really helpful. And I've gone back to it several times, just everything in the report. I just had a couple questions about some updates. I'm wondering if you can tell us how the repair cafe and the yard sales, just a little bit more about those two, and then I have a couple other things.
Yeah, so the yard sale, we made like almost $800, which was great. We would just get rid of surplus stuff that we've had on the third floor forever. And people wanted it. It was awesome. We had really old reams of paper that were kind of weirdly colored. And people snatched those up first. It was just, 25 years with this stuff, kind of. So that stuff sold, and then the repair cafe went really well. I wasn't there, but I've gotten reports from everyone that we had enough repairers and people brought stuff. And then I was at the State Theater for the movie Band Together on Tuesday night, and a woman came up to me and said, I just want to tell you how great it was, and she got one of her wicker chairs I don't know where, but like redone. Maybe what is it? Woven? Yeah, woven, yeah. And so she's like, I hope you do it again. It was awesome. So we had people getting things fixed and people fixing things, and it went really well. I don't know the numbers yet, but yeah, it went great.
Okay, Michelle, can you tell me the yard sale amount again? It was just hard to hear.
Oh yeah, it was close to $800.
Okay, great. Okay, my two other quick questions are, when we go to the market, are we using the e-bike and the standard bike, both of them?
No, we sold the standard bike to another library. We just have the e-bike.
Okay, gotcha. And then I noticed that the new patron accounts were down. Do we even have a yearly goal for that?
No, not really. It's kind of, I think it's always just interesting. It'll flex to, depending on what school outreach we're doing. So if we add a new school, then that'll add like a couple hundred new accounts. But, 200, I think it was 252 this month throughout the whole district is still pretty good. We also use a company so that new people who move to the area get a flyer or like a postcard saying welcome to the area. Bring this card into the library. You can get a sticker or something. So yes, we do that kind of outreach.
Okay, and then my last question, I just wanted to make sure I understood the figure when I saw it. It's in the financial report. I don't know, is Danielle at the meeting today? Is she there as well?
No, she's at Juneteenth doing face painting.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, so it's, if I read it right, it's under the revenue category, subcategory, period activity, negative 180,434.64. I just wanted to make sure I knew how that figure was, came up with.
Which one? Can you give me a line number?
Yeah.
Which line number was it? Under revenue?
Yeah, revenue category, subcategory.
Which line number?
Okay, yeah.
So basically a negative in revenue is a good thing. It's actually so.
I have to excuse myself for a minute because I'm having a coughing.
Oh yeah.
Thanks to the time. So
Do you want a
whoever,
cough drop?
I have one, but I'm gonna go cough seriously. So whoever.
Enjoy yourself.
No, I'm not gonna enjoy myself. So if the vice president's not here, does the secretary or the treasurer? Secretary? Sam, you're secretary, aren't you?
I am.
Okay, good. You got the comment.
Okay.
All right.
I'll be back.
Now I have a long agenda that I'd like to enact.
Make a motion to change the agenda.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yes, Susan, it just means we have money left over still in that part of the budget, or if it's under revenue, that means we've got extra. Or we're waiting for another payment, like if it's under penal fines or state aid, part of
Yeah,
that.
it's right at the end. I'm sorry, I can't pull it up real quick here.
That's okay, so some of it is when the money comes in, so like penal fines, we don't get till July. And state aid, we get 2 payments based on when we complete our state aid report. And I got our state aid report done in October, so we got our first one over, already, so we're still waiting on a second one. So this is just money that's probably just still to come in. in terms of, you know, sales or if it's the 148 under penal fines, it's because we haven't gotten them yet. But we'll get them next month.
Okay. And do we know why our penal fines are dropping so much?
Yeah, it's a lot of it has to do with like they're doing, so penal fine comes when people speed, like I always jokingly say, like tickets for, speeding for reading. And we should encourage people to read and get tickets. So if there's less tickets given, if people who go to court are given like some sort of like leniency where they don't have to pay the fines. And so that's why penal fines are a hard source of income, because we just don't know, you know, what's gonna happen. And a lot of courts are trying to do diversion techniques, especially for people who can't afford tickets, you know, like people who are sleeping in the pines would get a ticket. Well, they can't pay the ticket. And so that's kind of like, so the courts are looking for other techniques to get compliance and leniency. So that's why penal fines keep going down. And there's also been a little bit of legislation changes so that like before ORV tickets went to libraries, but then they changed it so that now they go to like natural resources. So there's always that going on too.
Okay, thanks Michelle, thanks Lynn.
Anybody else for the director? So moving on to item 8A, the 2024 audit review and hopefully acceptance.
Yeah, everyone has the audit in the packet. The auditors met with the finance committee, Susan, Joe, and Paul, and we had good discussion. It was a clean audit. It went really smoothly. Nothing really to remark. The one thing the auditor always marks, which they say is like a deficient internal controls, because we just don't have a on-staff CPA. And that's something they always listed in the audit-related communications, but it's really common, so it's not, you know, nothing to worry about.
I'm sure the finance committee talked about all of that. There's nothing in the way we compensate for not having an external.
They just have to know that.
Yeah, but we're set up correctly.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dave.
Absolutely. So do we need a motion to accept it, or?
Yep.
Yes. So I'd be happy to make the motion to accept the findings of the 2024 audit.
I'll support.
Support.
And this is a roll call vote?
Yeah, just before, just a comment, not discussion, but kind of go through this with alacrity, and we always hope to, but we shouldn't miss the point that these good audits are good things, and from really good things, and from a board perspective, I mean, that really is our thing. So thanks to everyone who makes all that work.
You're here.
Yeah, Sam, can I say something to Michael? I think that's who just spoke.
Well, Mary Lee's back, so I don't get to say anymore.
Go ahead, Susan.
Okay, thanks, Mary Lee. And this is for the whole group. As the chair of the finance committee, I can tell you that Paul and Joe and myself, we interviewed with staff present two members of the firm that we used for the audit, and it was a very vigorous discussion, and we took our work very seriously. So I appreciate the support that the board gives us in going forward. Thanks.
You're welcome. Okay, and Jennifer?
Just to echo the fact that it is a huge deal to get a clean audit. It's important, so if you could pass along to Danielle as well. And thank you to the finance committee for facilities committee for your thorough work on it.
Thank you. Okay, I think we're ready to vote. Okay.
Yes.
Jones,
Aye.
Kaiser,
Yes.
Vickery,
Yes.
Gedman,
Yes.
and Odgers.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Thank you very much, Finance Committee. Okay, now we're into new business, and the first item on the is the library director's succession plan.
So this is just something when we still had Carrie Zeitz as our attorney saying that we should look into is a director's review and succession plan, because I have to be reviewed every year before the budget is done. So you'll find that in here. And I just want to thank the policy committee because we spent a lot of time on this, like over many meetings of working out some of the details to get it where it was. And I just appreciate their, feedback because it started a lot longer and I feel like we really tightened it up. So what you'll see is the policy, and the idea behind this is two things. If I someday hope to retire and leave, and then also if I ever win the lottery and I jump on an airplane and leave. So there's two circumstances in here. One would be an immediate need for someone to replace me, and then one is just a replacement of the director. And I think when we don't have a policy like this, if something does happen, nobody knows what to do. And so it's just a nice, clear guideline that everyone can use. And then you'll see after the policy are 3 attachments that go into more detail, and these can be changed. But it basically tells you who on the personnel committee does what procedures will happen, what staff member will tell you, who's gonna call you, who's gonna, who's next in line, why are they next in line. And so that's what's in here, and I will be updating attachment B, which is the list of people who would take control if I were to not be able to function. Maybe my appendix bursts and I'm in the hospital for a couple weeks. So it tells you it's Scott Maury would be the first person. If Scott wasn't available, then it would be Amy Monette at Kingsley Branch, and then after that would be Melissa McKenna. And so I'll update this annually so that if staffing changes, you will know who to call and who will be in charge. That's that. Is there any questions about it?
Any questions for Michelle?
Michelle, I have a question, please.
Joe's first, then you, Susan.
Okay.
If we needed to operate this plan, if Scott moved up to your place, is there somebody going to move into his to take over his job?
Yeah, so we've already worked on that with staff as to who is in charge when that person's gone. So we've worked with a lot of staff, so it's if Scott's gone, we call Jeff Godin. And so, that way we know, just in case someone's on vacation or whatever. So yeah, that we've got that contingency plan for it.
Okay, all right. Susan?
Yeah, Michelle, two quick things. One is, so when someone becomes a new hire or changes jobs within the library, they're made aware that they might be in this position.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
and they agree to that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and then if someone leaves, I will update it. It'll be done annually, unless it needs to be done sooner. Someone retires or leaves or whatever.
Jennifer, you have a question?
And then is this modeled after a library director succession plan, like Michigan Library Association or the national group? Did we borrow some of this from other?
Yeah, I looked at other libraries and I looked at some nonprofit plans. I just looked at a whole bunch and kind of looked at the information I had left over from when Gail became the director and then when I became the director. Because when Gail was the director, Meta was the director who went off on leave, and so she moved into that position. So just looking at historically what town had done and then what other people have done too.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Jennifer.
This is more of a clarification or an addition to express based on your question, Susan. And that is that the addendum that says who, the names of the people within the library system who will be succeeding Michelle if something happens for second, third, fourth, those are tied to names, not specific positions. So say that Scott left, it wouldn't be the next person who fills his position that would take that role. And that's why Michelle has committed to updating it as things change within the library. So it's not as if somebody could be hired anew into a position and then the next day, surprisingly find themselves as the interim library director. I thought that distinction was important for us all to understand as we're approving the policy.
Yeah, thanks for that, Jennifer.
That's helpful. Okay, I would, all right, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve?
And second? Okay. Any further questions or comments? Okay, seeing that you're all ready to vote, all those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, next on the list is confidentiality policy, disclosure of library records. Michelle, you want to start us off with that?
Yeah, sure. So we have a lot of policies, but we don't have one confidentiality policy. We have little bits in other parts. So we have a bit in circulation and we have a bit in FOIA. And so just talking with our attorney, Ann Cernick, she had this policy, like this is her template policy that she gives, you know, that she suggests all libraries to have. And then that way, if someone came in, whether it's a police officer or whoever, and says, give me this, we can say, here's our policy, you know, and we have other stuff prepared for in case, you know, ICE comes in or anybody comes in and demands, an ex-spouse says, I want to see what my ex-wife checked out, you know. So it's kind of a nice thing all in one spot that explains the importance of privacy records and how we handle them. So that's why that's in front of you.
Okay. Any questions for Michelle? Oh, Jennifer,
Sorry, I'm sorry, I feel like I'm talking a lot today, but this was one that took us
No, it's all right.
a little bit of time because there were a couple of nuances in there that I thought were important for the board to be aware of and discuss. I was really hung up on the whole way that the book ban request unfolded around the applicant's ability to keep their name hidden from the public when they were making a public appeal to have a book ban from the library. And so we had a lot of discussion about what the deep care that we as a library hold in protecting all of the patrons' identities when they use the library system. So one aspect of this is that we've talked about adding something when an appeal is made that the appellant can opt to have their name made public. I guess state law says that we can't require their name to be public on appeal, but they can opt to have their name be public, and therefore maybe the whole, because remember we had a letter that was redacted, and some of the information in that letter actually was persuasive toward, or you know, she put it in there because it may have been persuasive toward her point. So the public may have had an interest in seeing it, and she may have had an interest in the public seeing it. And then the other piece to that was the confidentiality of people who speak in public meetings. And I just wanted to sort of elevate to the board that it is our board policy that prior to beginning public comment, we ask a person to state their name and their place of residence before the public comment is made. And we have a right to stop public comment if the person chooses not to say their name and their place of residence. And in this book banning issue, it was important because we didn't know where this person came from. What if it was somebody from some, you know, group in, I don't know, out of state that was trying to astroturf this political issue in our communities. So the board has discretion at the beginning of meetings. I wanted to elevate that just in case something like that comes to our attention in the future. We have a policy that does require that people disclose who they are when they come and speak before the board, and they have the option within this policy to opt into making their name public.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? Yes, Susan?
So, Michelle, I would think we're going to really educate the public and the patrons about this policy. This will be on the website and several other places.
Yep, and it doesn't change any of our policy, it just puts them in one spot.
Okay.
And it doesn't change our practices. Like, it's what we've been following all this time, because it's the law in the state. It's just nice to have it spelled out in one spot.
Right. And Michelle, how often would you say that records are requested because of, a debt situation, a financial debt kind of thing?
Financial debt, well, if someone owes us money, that's in the policy that we release it. Like if someone owes fines, we release that to a collection agency. I'm not sure how debt if that's what you meant, is like if someone doesn't return
Yeah.
materials.
mhm.
Yeah, so the
Yeah, I just
policy,
wanted you to say a little more about that.
yeah, the policy says at the end that basically we can, by agreeing to have a library card, that we will release your information to a collection agency if you have overdue items. And we do that
Okay.
regularly, all the time.
Is there a lot of?
Okay, do we have
Yeah, go ahead.
a cutoff on how much that has to be before people are turned over?
It's $20.
Okay. Okay, and my last question, and maybe Sam can jump in here as well. Years ago, there were several females in the community that wanted to give public comment at the city. They felt uncomfortable saying their street address, and the city manager at the time said it was fine to say your name and just, you know, that you lived in the city, and then privately give the street address. And I'm wondering, Jennifer, can we do that with the library, or what's the rule with what we're doing?
That would be up to you guys. I was on the city commission when that happened, and the city commission said, fine, go ahead and make public comment. That would be up to you as a body. Your bylaws say that you have to give their name, and it would be up to all of you to decide whether you wanted to enforce that or not. Or you could offer the option saying, well, if you don't want to disclose your name in public comment, you could email us your comments.
And my understanding too is that if someone were to get up and make an explanation, it's the board's discretion if the board wants to breach the board's rules or make an exception for somebody, so they could make a case for why they wouldn't want to do that.
Yep.
It would be up to us to make a ruling on the spot.
Yep.
All right, Mike, did you have something you want to say?
No, pointing out what is obvious, this policy covers a lot of things. I mean, the privacy issues involved here are complicated, actually. So having a sense of coherent core philosophy driving our policies regarding protection of library records, which is, you know, I think one of the primary things we have to be concerned about is patron records should be private. And we can foresee circumstances where outside agents and agencies might want to see records of those sorts. So protecting those is a host of absolute sense of that. And protecting, obviously, personnel and kinds of records, part of the same problem. Protecting people's identities who want to participate in the public forum of library governance, but may, for whatever reason, feel at risk, and being sensitive to that. And that's what all this is attempted to do, is sort of balance the, I mean, you know, it's a lot of stuff, but balancing all that in a way that makes it clear that, you know, we can be trusted with the information and records that we are responsible for. And so making sure that we can do that and do it in a way that's legal. All this, by the way, has been reviewed.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
you know, we should be on firm ground.
Yes, the lawyer gave it a thumbs up and thought it was a good idea to have it.
Okay. Seeing no other comments, I would entertain a motion for this issue.
I'll make the motion to approve the new policy 1.12, confidentiality.
Support?
Okay, thank you, Sam. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much for the work that you all have done on that. All right, the next one. My favorite.
It's my favorite.
New policy. God, I'm gonna start pictures. Bed bug policy. All right, Michelle, you want to lead us?
Yeah, so we did not include the procedure manual, which has pictures of bed bugs. But I just want to say thank you to the policy committee, Sam and Mike and Jennifer, because they did look at it. So we have an internal procedure.
Worst moment in policy committee history.
Yes.
Go through the bed book, man.
Yeah, it's gross. We haven't had any problems, but downstate they sure do. And so it's just, you know, again, this is another one of those policies our lawyer recommended us having because we don't want bed bugs in our library. And if there were a person who repeatedly brought items in, you know, we would need grounds to stand on to say you can't use the library anymore, or any library in the district. So that's what this policy does. And then there's a whole procedure part that we have of how to look for it. We're gonna actually start having a bed bug sniffing dog come in twice a year. Yeah, the dogs can smell them, I don't know. Yeah. And we're looking at getting one of those like cooker things, so that if the item has bed bugs, you put it in this thing and it like radiates it and kills the bed bugs. Yeah, it's yucky. But thank you, policy committee.
Yeah.
Pretty sure it gave me nightmares, but
Yeah,
it's real. I
There's
mean,
high-level policies here and there's low-level policies. All right, any questions before someone makes a motion?
I make a motion
Okay.
to adopt the bed bug policy.
All right,
I'll support it.
okay. All right, any other questions or comments before we all start bitching? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries, amen. All right.
we won't talk about that ever again.
Someone will see him. Okay, next on the agenda is grant application support for stormwater musical garden. Because this involves money, it will be a roll call vote. So Michelle, you want to start us off on it?
Yeah, I talked to the finance and facilities committee about it. So we have a giant roof, and during rain events, massive amounts of storm comes off. And we started just with Brett looking at the roof, because if the city enacts a stormwater ordinance, we will have to start to pay for whatever enters the stormwater system, possibly. And so we were just thinking of ideas to divert stormwater, and it was Brett and Sarah Cushell of the Children's Garden who came up with this idea of, in one of the corners by the Sight and Sound Department, to make a musical garden where right now the concept is it's like a tree, and it would capture the rainwater and then spread it out so that the drops would land on leaves that are actually drums. So it would go like, no, I am not musical, but other people are. So we're working with TC Philharmonic, a whole bunch of people at the tribe, and so we've got this idea. So this is a grant. We already talked to Rotary about it. We need board approval. This is a seed grant, so that it would pay for us to get the plans drawn, because we don't even know how much this would cost. Like, we've talked to a metal artist, Keen Technical is trying to figure out how the piping would work, and we're hoping that a tank would fill up, so that kids could like crank a wheel and then the water would come out, so that it would even work when it wasn't raining. So there's a lot of stuff involved. So this is just a seed grant to find out what the cost is, and even if it's feasible. So that's what's in front of you.
So if we have a stormwater management plan, I'm going to imagine if we have to address that in a specific way, is this item, would we expect it to be a significant or only an interesting element of that? I mean, is it a substantial way of managing stormwater?
We're trying to figure that out, and that's what Keen Technical is involved for. So they're trying to see, like, because right now I think there's just a storm drain under it, and so it's kind of like how that water can be captured and then either put into the musical part and then also just diverted and then released into the area. So it's both. It's going to be educational. It should be technically work, so it does divert stormwater, and then have that musical element.
Well, I like very much that it seems to me like it could be a demonstration for other entities in the community. Will also have to, we should already be doing it, but if we do the right thing here, do something about stormwater, we'll have to come up with solutions. And this is a little example of innovation, thinking about that in a way that ties into mission and whatnot. So this is a good thing, and maybe we should use it to promote, help promote that idea across the community.
Yeah, that's what we're hoping, is that we can't find anyone else who has something like this. And the guys at Keen Technical are really creative and do fun stuff. And then having the tribe involved, I think, is their water protection. And Sarah's sister, Holly, passed away, and she was a member of the tribe, and she was a water protector, a tribal judge. And so that's kind of the impetus behind it. We don't want it to be a memorial piece. Sarah's clear about that. But if it shows respect to our Native American partners, and we're preserving water and music. I think it could be really cool.
Okay. Any other questions for Michelle? Jennifer?
Just one quick thing. I just adore this idea so much, and as we figure out what all of the pieces are, and holding that the tribes are partners, I think it could also be something that we hold that where there are people within the tribes who can perform the work to create the art. That would be wonderful as well. Just to,
Yeah, and the TC Phil we played, there's a Native American water blessing song, it's called Ruby, and you can listen to it on the internet. And so we played it for them, and they were listening, and they're like running down fiercely, and they got the pitches from the song, and so we're hoping the drums or whatever will, or the bells or whatever will have those same pitches of the water song. That'd be cool.
Great, so I just need some clarification on the grant. So we're funding this, or it's being funded for us?
So I think Rotary Churches will fund up to $10,000, and we have to do a matching component, but we do have, we put money in the budget knowing that we were trying to do some physical infrastructure in the children's garden this year, so we have money in there. We have money purposely for this stuff.
Okay, thank you, that helps a lot. Okay, so I would entertain a motion.
I'd move that the board adopt the resolution. Do I not need to read the resolution? The resolution on the grant application, support for stormwater music garden.
Okay,
Support.
all right. Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay. This is roll call.
Okay, Sarah Courtine,
yes.
and Jones,
Aye.
Kaiser,
Yes.
Vickery,
Aye.
Gedman,
Yes.
and Atchers.
Yes.
Thank you very much. The motion carries. Very good. Okay, next on the agenda is local history collection expenditure from Public Improvement Fund approval.
So people donate to the local history collection, and we don't always spend it in the same year, so it gets put into the public improvement fund tag for the local history collection. And so they're working on a digitization and preservation project with some of the films. We have some Cherry Festival films, and I can't remember what else is in there. But basically, the film will deteriorate, so we're working, we want to use that money that's we've saved for digitization to save it and make it accessible to everyone, so.
Just a quick comment if I could.
Sure.
There's a pretty healthy grant available federally through the National Archives for local nonprofits and governments for digitization of historical records. So if we have anybody who's interested in tackling that, I'd be happy to forward that on. We're looking into that at the county clerk's office, but
Sweet.
we don't have enough historic chops for that, but this sounds like it might qualify, so.
Yeah, we've got some really old, like, film that's kept in the refrigerator, like that's how you're supposed to keep it. No, everyone's afraid to open it even to see, so, yeah, it'll be good. But that's a good idea, I will look into that.
Thank you, Sam, for that recommendation. Okay, I'll entertain a motion on this.
Motion to do that. I don't remember exactly what the wording was, and now I have a story written on my computer, so. Motion to do what we were just talking about.
Support her motion wholeheartedly.
To expend for the local history collection.
Okay. All right, we have a
Attorney Brooke for
maker
a
of the motion
second.
and a seconder. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
It's a motion to expend up to $3,000.
Up to
$3,000. To be specific.
Thank you. Okay, roll call.
Sarah Courtine,
Yes.
and Jones,
Aye.
Kaiser,
Yes.
Vickery,
Aye.
Gedman,
Yes.
and Atchers.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Motion carries. Okay, next on the agenda is signature support for open letter to Michigan policymakers.
Yeah, so this was just a letter that I know sometimes in the past the board has signed down to some letters that usually the agency that's organizing this is the Community Foundation. And so, I'm just putting this forward. If you wanted to read it and put your name on it, I could reach out to them. But if not, they just have it on a website, they've sent it out, stuff like that. So I just thought, I know in the past sometimes you want me to sign on, so I thought I'd forward this to you for your review.
Okay. Anybody have any questions or comments for Michelle? Jennifer?
I like the idea. I think it's a great example of the impacts of the moment that we're in, and fulfills our role as the library system in terms of having space for community and making information available to the people who need the information to make informed decisions. So I'm in support of it.
Sam?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I think I'm gonna go the other way on this one. As I read through this, I'm kind of giving pause. There's a few things in here that I think go a little bit beyond the scope and delve into the political a bit. Not sure how appropriate it is for us as an organization. We just had a millage, that was passed pretty handily countywide. We have a fairly good reputation on all sides of the political spectrum. Weighing in on things like tariffs or Doge cuts, I think just go a little bit beyond the scope of what we want to delve into, and I would be uncomfortable sort of just lending our name and our credibility to this. Not that it's necessarily universally bad, but I just feel like there's more to be risked than there is to be gained, just from a way that we position ourselves for the community.
And that's exactly why in the past, I think it was a housing one maybe, or something else that you all decided. And maybe Sam and Jennifer wasn't on the board yet when you were here, that you decided not to put your name on. Because it's kind of like staying our lane and everything, so, I can see both sides.
Any other comments?
Anyway,
Yes, Susan?
I would agree with Sam, and I think that unless we can add a paragraph that talks about, the library and what it does and the impact for the library, I think that it's something maybe we want to reconsider. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? I'll entertain a motion.
I might point out, if there is no motion, then
It's
satisfy two of our trustees' wishes.
That is true. So if no motion is made nor is it second, then this stays silent on our agenda. Okay, all right. We'll move on then. Okay, next is letter of support for Jubilee House, and I'm assuming you all read that.
Yeah, I did
Mary Lee?
Yes?
It's Michelle starting to talk. It's a little hard to hear. I'm sorry.
Okay, all right, Michelle.
Those of you who've been around when we didn't have a day shelter, it was a very different situation in the library. I think a lot of our decreased incidence is because Jubilee House opened and people had a place to go during the day, because otherwise we were the day shelter. And so I am worried that if Jubilee were to close, what the effect would be on us. I think there's other options. I think they should look at, another place for a day shelter if Jubilee isn't, I know it's small, but that's not my problem to solve. I just know a day shelter is pretty important to the main library, keeping its sanity with the staff sometimes. So I didn't know if you wanted to write a letter, maybe not in support of Jubilee House, or just saying, writing to the policymakers that a day shelter is important in whatever form it is. I just didn't know if you wanted to take that stand, and we don't have to do it now, but I could draft a letter and you can look at it at the August meeting.
Okay. That sounds like a good compromise. Anybody have any comments, or Sam?
No, I say that sounds like a good idea. I mean, I think it's important to point out that every, public entities and public institutions become de facto shelters when you don't fund shelters. So I'd be enthusiastic to make that point to anybody who'd listen if they
Okay.
would do that.
All right, so it sounds like a plan.
I would be very happy to support any messaging that goes from the library to the community of actors, responsible parties who have to address the question of housing and homelessness in the community. I don't feel as confident that identifying us, even though it may be singular, a single response as something that we need to make comment about, because I think where we started was to be supportive of the community conversation necessary to address these issues. And the available assets and opportunities and ideas that were came out of that has led to some actions that have been effective, and I would say we should, reinforce that. I don't feel it's necessary to support any one thing.
I agree.
Because it ties us to specificity.
Yeah. Okay.
Mary Lee?
Yes, Susan?
I would agree with what Michael just said, and I'm uncomfortable saying yea or nay to Jubilee's budget, and I haven't had a chance to call over there and do a deep dive with the Reverend beyond this, but I do support, as Michael described, that we're definitely on board with these issues in the community, and Michelle makes a good case for the pros and cons of being involved in something like this, but I would agree also, not specific. And we're not specific, it may help other people in the community to come forward to fulfill that need as well. Thanks.
Okay, so we'll just table that for now.
Yeah, I'll just draft up
Okay.
a letter and then maybe policy, I could bring it to the committee meetings and then we can look at it at the August board meeting.
Okay.
And maybe by then they will know more. I don't know if the city is moving forward with funding or not. So,
All right, next on the agenda is public comment. Does anybody from the public like to make a comment? Okay.
Rushing to,
Say what?
we're rushing.
it's a stampede.
Okay, next on the agenda is trustee comment. Does any trustee like to make a comment? Oh, Sam, sorry.
Yeah, if I may.
Sure, of course.
I just wanted to pass along gratitude to the staff, the downtown library. My mother is new to the area and has recently, in her senior community, been part of a book club. And she's also coping with the effects of Parkinson's and some loss of mobility. And she has a very difficult time going out in public and doing what she used to do and managing frustrations with that. And she said was very moved by how she was received and how she was treated and the services that were provided. So in a very emotional way, she was very, very touched by it. So I just wanted to pass that on and just thank everybody for the small kindness and good works that go on every day.
Thank you.
I'll share that with staff.
Mary Lee?
Yes, Susan?
I would like to compliment Michelle and Heather on their response to the letter that we got questioning our sending out of postcards for the summer reading program. I thought they just seized the opportunity to educate and deal with the issue directly, and it was very professional yet very warm and kind, and we want our patrons to interact with us, and we're seeing more of that. The 2 thank you emails that we received recently, I'm sure for the rest of the board as well, really felt good to get. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, seeing nothing else on the agenda, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Support.
You get that one right.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. Thank you, everybody, for being here, and thank you, Fife Lake Board and staff. You guys are totally cool.
Please grab some brownies.
Yeah, definitely.
They smell so good. I know.
Thank you.